Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you are having a wonderful day. My name is Tony White. I am here to share my experience with prostate cancer as well as my last procedure, which was the TURP procedure. And for those you all who don't know, TURP, TURP, stands for transurethral resection of the prostate. And so I'm here to share my experience with that surgery. And just to kind of catch you up on my journey, if you hadn't already looked at my videos that I've already posted on YouTube, sharing my prostate cancer journey with the world. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in 2022. And as a matter of fact, today is the 22nd of March. And it was around this time 2 years ago when I had my blood tested. My PSA was at around a 9 or 10, if I can remember. And that was in January of 2022. And so before I decided to do anything, me and my wife, we talked about it, we prayed about it. And once I had the biopsy, which I had the biopsy in April of 2022, to confirm that I had prostate cancer, then I got a call from a urologist as far as, considering surgery as an option. Talked to the radiologist, considering radiation as an option, and then even talked to a psychiatrist. The cancer department has a psychologist to talk to patients who have been diagnosed with cancer and who are going through cancer treatment. And so that was in April. And then it wasn't until fast forward to around June or July when I decided to go with the radiation therapy. And so in the last week of August, right before our anniversary, I opted to take the radiation treatment, 5 treatments of aggressive radiation, Monday through Friday. So I was going to the hospital, had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And every time I got there, they were waiting for me right on time. Had the radiation treatment that took about 10-15 minutes and felt fine, after each treatment. And then even the last treatment where you get to ring the bell, I was done, felt fine, hadn't felt any difference. And then 2 weeks later, the side effects started kicking in. Where, again, to make a long story short, because I shared this on the other videos, I wasn't able to void anymore. In other words, I wasn't able to urine. So my prostate, I thought it had enlarged, so I thought I was now dealing with an enlarged prostate. However, there was just a part of my prostate that did get affected by the radiation treatment that caused like a cap, between my prostate and my bladder, so I was not able to void. So therefore, I had to catheter myself, and I was cathetering myself up until the only option was to have the surgery. Or even before then, I was telling the urologist, hey, just take my prostate out, because by that time I was probably cathetering myself for 2 or 3 months, and I got so tired of it, of cathetering myself. Every time I had to go to the restroom, and I would go to the bathroom a lot. So you're talking about, at least 10, 12 times a day I was cathetering myself. And so around January, now that I've been cathetering myself for about 3 or 4 months, I wanted to have nothing to do with that anymore. I wanted them to take my prostate out, but then after a closer look, I had an MRI, CT scan or something where they looked at my prostate again, and the radiologist told me no, they're not going to remove my prostate. My prostate itself looked good, and that's when she told me I had this little flap that basically was blocking my urethra, from any urine being able to come out. And so of course when I would put the catheter in, it's like it would lift, that flap up. Of course, it would give the catheter access to my bladder, and therefore I was able to empty my bladder. And so then when we started talking about the TURP, I was going to schedule myself for that. And then lo and behold, they discovered I had a blood clot. So I had to be treated for the blood clot, which put off having the surgery because they will not perform a surgery when you're on blood thinners. And then I developed edema, my legs, my ankles, my feet. Everything was swollen practically from the hips on down. I couldn't even wear my shoes anymore. And I was just dealing with a lot of pain. I was dealing with literally pain from the hips on down. It was even hard for me to sit down on anything because just the radiation treatment, in that part of your body, the pelvic part of your body. I mean, man, again, if you see my other videos, there was just a lot of pain in the groin area that I was dealing with constantly, day in and day out. I couldn't sit down for a long time because it was hard to sit down unless I sat on a very soft surface. But even then, I just still couldn't sit for long. Then I couldn't stand for long because my legs would start hurting. So the best option for me was just to lay in the bed if I could. And so, fast forward, took the blood thinners, got off the blood thinners. Eventually, the blood clot that was like in my upper thigh area dissolved. Thank the Lord. And so now we're back to talking about having a TURP. And just about going through what I went through now, 6, 7, 8 months of cathetering myself. I really just almost didn't want them just to even touch any part of my body down there anymore in my pelvic area. By that time, I got used to cathetering myself. Sometimes be okay, sometimes be very uncomfortable. And I had seemed like I had a UTI every other week, so I was always calling the doc, to get some antibiotics, because there was always, blood in my urine when I would catheter myself. And it, again, still dealing with a lot of pain down there in that area. And so once I talked to the doctor once we came to the decision of having the TURP, I got put on the waiting list. I would say this was probably around September once I decided to have it. Then they called me back a few weeks later, said, okay, we're going to have that TURP the 27th of December, so a couple of days after Christmas of 2023. And so now we're just waiting. And thank God it worked out because right after Thanksgiving, I ended up back in the hospital. I was having some chest pains. And then I had an appointment with the urologist maybe a week later. And now they're saying, hey, I had these chest pains. I went in the hospital for chest pains. Then they were not going to perform the surgery unless I was cleared by my cardiologist. So again, long story short, I was cleared by the cardiologist, had the surgery, and after the surgery, spent a day in the hospital. I had a catheter in, they took it out, and then it was, urine going everywhere because I was practically laying in the bed when they came to visit me. And after having it in there for a month, as they were, putting fluids in me and kind of flushing out any blood or anything. And as a matter of fact, the nurse was very surprised. She was like, you're one of the few men that have had this surgery and your urine is coming out clear. There was little to no blood at all. But then when the urologist came to see if everything was working fine, and she just basically, took the catheter out and urine going everywhere. So that was a good sign. It was coming out without the catheter. And then even, they wanted me to be able to void on my own after that. So when I would drink some water, yep, it was coming right on out. It's like I had to learn how to go to the bathroom again. I felt like a little kid and I had no control whatsoever. So it was coming out. And so for the most part, thank the Lord, the procedure was a success. And so now, when they discharged me to go home, obviously I got to wear a diaper because I just could not control when it was going to come out. So I had to learn how to, hold it, control that muscle in there, because, now that the doctor then, as he said, I'm just going to drill a hole, in your urethra. It's going to be stretched out, through your prostate. And so it was painful. It was a lot of pain. And then of course, when I left the hospital, they didn't leave me empty-handed. I had, was given some medication for the pain, given some medication that if it was not flowing out, the Flomax, to take some of that, and I got some medication that if it was burning while I was urinating, to help with any the burning and any pain and discomfort while I was urinating. And so all of the above happened. They said I would be good to go in about 6 weeks. But for me, my body is just a little different because it was not 6 weeks. By the time, I was good to go in terms of, feeling little to no pain, and just even having control of my ability to urinate. So for me, it wasn't 6 weeks. I would say probably around 2 months, 2.5 months. So that would say put us in about, around this time now, I would say about mid-February to beginning of March, just a few weeks ago, where I feel like, okay, the pain has subsided, I went down from about a 10 to a 2, and I can, hold myself a little longer. I still think I got a long way to go because I definitely can't hold it like I used to prior to, having these issues, and got a little bit more control of the aim, because I tell you, when I was going to the restroom again, I felt like a little kid. And I remember, like my son, and I know even when I was younger, you just whipping it out and then pee going all over the place. And that kind of how it was with me. And so here we are now towards the end of March, almost 3 months since I've had the surgery. And again, a lot better, not in much pain, but truthfully, I am still in pain, even as I talk to you all in this video. But again, it's not extreme, excruciating pain. It's definitely tolerable. I'm not taking any pain medicine. And it gets a little bit uncomfortable even as I sit down. And if I sit any place for 30, 45 minutes or more, it's like I have to stand up because I feel like I am sitting on my prostate or that muscle, that pelvic muscle, and that's what it is, because I guess that had some damage from the procedure, and of course that's the muscle that you use to be able to hold your urine and then eventually release it. And so it's just, again, with me, hey, I'm a 60-year-old man, and it's just taken a lot longer to heal maybe than someone who've had the procedure that's a little younger. But I thank the Lord. Again, it went good. I know some of the side effects, other than the discomfort, that the doc talked about, incontinence, and that's just where, you just don't have the ability to hold yourself. When it's going to come, it's just going to come. And I think that was, matter of fact, I know that was my main concern. It's like, okay, if I have this procedure, am I going to be in a diaper now for the rest of my life because I can't hold myself, or I'm going to constantly be, leaking. And the truth of the matter is, again, the first month or so, it wasn't constant leaking, but again, I had to learn how to, work that muscle, kind of hold it, especially when I feel it coming. And so there would be at times, yep, I would have a diaper on, and then there would be times then I didn't need a diaper, because I began to see when it was kind of tapering off and I can hold it more, control it more. And then there would be times like if I went out and just wasn't sure what was going to happen, I would have on a pad. So they got the diapers for men and they got the pads for men. And so it just depended how I felt. And then sometimes I didn't have on either one. And sure enough, I would be just fine. There was no leaking, no incontinence, no nothing. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. I can hold it, make it to the bathroom, be all good. And so, and I even carried around one of those urinals. I take it back, I didn't carry it around, but I had one in the car just in case as I go out and I got that feeling I have to go. That commercial said, gotta go right now, gotta go. It's like, yeah, because it's, again, I didn't have the ability to hold it like I did prior to, the cancer treatment and the radiation treatment and everything. So, but of course I didn't go out much either, because I didn't want to be in that situation where, I just didn't want to be in that situation. So I stayed in as much as possible. But when I started going out, slowly but surely, either a pad or in some cases, but rare cases, I don't think I've ever wore a diaper going out, maybe around the house, but not when I went out. And like I said, sometimes I didn't have on either one, especially if I knew I was just going to run somewhere real quick and then come back versus being out for hours and hours and hours, typically not something I do. But in any case, so here we are now, the 24th of March, and finally getting around to making this video. And I'm not fully healed, but I'm about 75% there. I think another month or two, I'll be good to go. Now the doctor did say, one of the side effects is that I could be dealing with chronic pain down there for the rest of my life. And so hopefully that won't be the case. I pray it won't be the case. But if it is like it is now, hey, I can live with this. I would rather not, but hey, it's not going to keep me from doing anything. I just, like I said, won't be able to sit down for long, because it just literally feels like I'm sitting on a sore down there that just isn't healing itself. And the more I sit on it, the more it hurts and the more it aches. And that's why sometimes when I'm at home, I just lay in the bed, because then I'm not sitting on that muscle down there. And so if you consider having a TURP, so far so good. I'm voiding, like normal, and again, just dealing with a little pain down there still, but thank you, Jesus. I don't have to catheter myself anymore. Man, that I did that for 15 months, and that was just, it was an experience. It was an experience, and I hope to never have that experience again. So I am thankful that as of today, I'm cancer free. I saw my radiologist last month and actually that was my, what was that? So it's been a year and a half last month, February, and my PSA numbers were 0.06, which he said was pretty low. And so I get to see him in another 6 months, because once you have prostate cancer, and I'm sure just like with any cancer, once chemo or radiation does what it's supposed to do, you still have to get checked up, because we all know cancer has a habit of coming back, and if it's not checked, it could just won't be good. And so I get to see the doctor in August, because this coming August it'll be 2 years exactly since I started the radiation treatment again in the late August of 2022. And so this coming August of 2024 to be 2 years. And so that's my story. Try to think of anything else I can tell you before I sign off here. And as far as the procedure is concerned, as far as I think I shared everything. Of course, the side effects are always some of the main concerns. Oh, one side effect I didn't talk about, which probably every man has that concern, is ED, erectile dysfunction, because they get down there messing with your eggplant and it experience a lot of trauma, and it can be traumatic. And I think for most men, just like even me, I'm not excluded, it'll mess with your mind, and probably more than you would want it to, which also affects what's going on in your body and in that particular part of your body, and being able to use it like you used it prior to any kind of treatment or trauma it has experienced. So know that is real. It is real. But thank God, hey, you got to do what you got to do. And so that's a real deal. And so with that said, I am going to sign off. I will say this: I do appreciate all your love, all your prayers, because I don't believe I'll be where I am now, where I believe I'm healed. Of course, the cancer's gone. I've had a successful TURP surgery, so I thank you all, and above all, I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Because it's in Him I move, have my being, and I put my trust in Him. I put my life in His hands, and I am just so grateful to be alive. And so, as much as I know one day I'm gonna be going to heaven, but it's good to still be here amongst you, amongst my loved ones, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, and everybody, to continue to be on this side of heaven, to love on y'all and for y'all to love on me. So I appreciate it. So with that said, God bless you. Have a great day, and peace be with you always.